They look like everyone else, charming, confident, sometimes even magnetic, but behind that polished smile and smooth talk hides a predator. Psychopaths walk among us every day, disguised as friends, lovers, co-workers, and sometimes even family members. You won't realize what happened until you're left drained, confused, doubting your own reality, while they've already moved on to their next target. The scariest part? Experts estimate that about 1 in every 100 people has psychopathic traits. That means you've probably already met one. You might even be dealing with one right now. And if you don't know what to look for, they will keep you under their influence, manipulating you and taking whatever they can without a shred of guilt. But you are not powerless. In this video, we'll go through 5 unmistakable signs you're dealing with a psychopath, and why you must leave the moment you recognize them. These are not abstract definitions. They're real threats you've likely encountered before or may be facing right now. Miss even one of these signs, and you risk losing years of your life to emotional abuse, destroyed trust, and shattered self-esteem. That's their specialty. Sign number 1, superficial charm and subtle manipulation from the start. Have you ever met someone who, from the very first conversation, seemed to understand you on a deep, almost uncanny level? They instantly match your speech patterns, share your interests, pick up on your humor, notice small details others overlook. It feels like fate. They remember something you mentioned in passing, say exactly what you've been longing to hear, and show care and attentiveness right when you need it. You start thinking, finally, someone who truly gets me. But sadly, most of the time, this isn't genuine intimacy. It's a calculated strategy. A psychopath doesn't enter your life through pressure, threats, or aggression, but through perfectly polished charm. They don't feel real affection for you. They are studying you. Every coincidence, every compliment, every perfectly timed emotional response. It's not chance. It's targeted information gathering. It's reconnaissance. Psychopaths are masters of psychological mimicry. From a young age, they learn to imitate empathy without actually feeling it. They know that if they mirror your values, vulnerabilities, and dreams, they'll gain access to your most valuable asset, your trust. If you say you've been burned out at work, suddenly they become the one who understands you better than anyone. If you mention loving true crime documentaries, they'll surprise you that night with a movie marathon and your favorite snacks. Tiny details you didn't even realize they remembered. It looks like romance, but it's actually control. This is called love bombing, but not the spontaneous rush of real feelings. It's a cold, calculated plan. They wrap you in affection, promises, and shared dreams, so you'll open up faster and drop your guard. But the moment you show even the slightest disagreement, delay in replying, or ask an uncomfortable question, the warmth turns to coldness, irritation, or detachment, and you're left wondering, what did I do wrong? You stop being fully convenient to them, that's all. And here's the red flag. Genuine charm doesn't vanish when you set boundaries. With a psychopath, it disappears instantly. Sign number 2. Pathological lying and psychological manipulation. Picture this. You're sitting in your car, hands shaking, scrolling through old texts. Your heart is pounding. You remember exactly what they said yesterday. It's burned into your memory. But now, looking you straight in the eye, they calmly insist that conversation never happened. In fact, they suggest that you misunderstood, or worse, made it all up. They are calm, in control. You are spiraling into self-doubt. Maybe I am overreacting, maybe I imagined it. This isn't a movie scene. It's real-life abuse. It's pathological lying and gaslighting, gradually eroding your self-esteem, destroying your sense of reality, and pulling the ground out from under you. If you've been through this, you are not alone, and you are not weak. This is one of the most dangerous signs you're dealing with a psychopath, because they don't just confuse you, they rewrite your reality. Unlike regular lies, psychopathic lies aren't about avoiding trouble. They lie deliberately, often for the thrill of control. They fabricate entire backstories about their past, family, tragedies, or successes. One day, it's an abusive father. The next, a narcissistic mother. The next, a tragic accident that changed them forever. You believe, you empathize, until you notice contradictions. But if you question them, they explode with anger or flip into the victim role, making you feel guilty for even asking. They convince you that white is black, that words you clearly heard were never spoken, that your feelings are overreactions or emotional instability. Over time, you start doubting your own memory until your mind becomes your worst enemy. And when your reality belongs to them, they've won. They'll even manipulate people around you through triangulation, telling you that a friend secretly spoke badly about you, while telling that friend you have an issue with them. The result? Isolation, mistrust, and complete dependence on the psychopath for truth. This isn't a mistake, it's a weapon, and they wield it with surgical precision. So what can you do? Here's where Stoic philosophy helps. Control what you can. Let go of what you can't. You can't make them tell the truth, but you can protect your clarity, your reaction, your stability. Document conversations, dates, promises, not for revenge, but to keep your bearings. Maintain contact with people you trust outside their influence. Sometimes, one honest conversation with a real friend can restore your entire reality. If you are constantly made to doubt yourself, your thoughts, and your memories, this is not weakness. It's someone else's game. Sign number 3, lack of empathy and emotional depth. Have you ever opened your heart to someone, shared your pain, your fears, your most private wounds, hoping for a nod, a kind word, any sign of human warmth, only to meet a cold, empty stare? Or maybe you got a perfectly worded, appropriate response, but it somehow made you feel worse. That's because you were speaking to someone who wasn't feeling with you. They were observing you, like a movie audience watching a scene on screen, and you were the screen. Psychopaths can identify emotions and imitate them with eerie accuracy, but they don't feel them the way healthy people do. What you think is connection is just a rehearsed performance. The words are right, the tone is convincing, the gaze is steady, but the most important thing is missing: a living, feeling soul. For them, your emotions are not a value, they are a resource, a tool, a map of your vulnerabilities. And one day, that deeply personal thing you shared during your most vulnerable moment might be used against you, to shame, humiliate, or break you. The Stoics warned us, look at what is, not what you wish to see. If someone repeatedly meets your pain with indifference, stop explaining it away. Stop thinking you can wake up their heart. We often tell ourselves, maybe they're just tired, maybe they didn't understand, maybe they didn't know what to say. But with a psychopath, this isn't a bad day or a lack of social skills, it's their default state. They don't forget to care. They simply can't. And the more you try to prove your worth or earn their compassion, the deeper you sink into their trap. Because every new attempt to connect only gives them more data, more ways to manipulate your trust, twist your feelings, and keep you dependent on crumbs of affection that will never be real. The brutal truth is that your longing for their empathy is exactly what keeps you tied to them. It's the hook in your skin. The Stoics would tell you, do not expect figs in winter. If a person has shown you time and again that they have no empathy for you, believe them the first time, and then step back, not to punish them, but to protect the only thing that matters in this equation, your own heart. Sign number 4, parasitic lifestyle and systematic exploitation. It starts quietly, so quietly you barely notice. They borrow your car, stay a few nights that turn into weeks, ask you to co-sign a credit card just for emergencies. It feels like partnership, a shared future, but it's exploitation. You're a source, a resource, a battery. They don't ask, they take. They don't thank, you owe them. And when you're no longer useful, you're discarded, often when you need support the most. This isn't miscommunication, it's a deliberate survival strategy, and the longer you ignore it, the more they take. The Stoics remind us, you are not obligated to feed someone's bottomless hunger for control and resources. Real partnership builds, psychopathic exploitation drains. It's never just about the money, the ride, or the couch. It's about the pattern, a slow, calculated erosion of your boundaries until giving becomes your default, and questioning them feels selfish. They'll frame their needs as urgent, special, or your moral duty. They'll wrap every request in guilt or flattery. You're the only one I can count on. I don't know what I'd do without you. At first, you feel needed, important, even heroic. But over time, you start noticing that the flow is one way. Your time, your energy, your finances, your peace, it all trickles toward them, and nothing flows back. And here's the part that stings the most. If you stop giving, the mask slips. The warmth vanishes. The connection you thought was mutual evaporates because it was never about you. It was about access. The Stoics would tell you, what is given without wisdom is taken without gratitude. A relationship should enrich both lives, not drain one dry to keep the other afloat. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to cut off the supply, before they take the one thing you can't replace, your self-respect. Sign number 5, impulsivity and chronic irresponsibility. Some people live in constant chaos, changing jobs, relationships, homes, and life plans like outfits. Every story from their past is a tragedy. Every role they've played is the victim. With them, you're always picking up the pieces, paying their debts, smoothing over their conflicts, making excuses for their behavior. They avoid responsibility like it's the plague, and worse, they make you feel guilty for holding them accountable. This isn't clumsiness, it's a pattern. They seek constant excitement. Routine feels like a prison, and when consequences hit, they dump them on you. The Stoic solution: separate yourself from their chaos. You are not a rescuer. You are not the fallout shelter for someone else's self-destruction. No matter how many chances you give, they will not change. Not because they can't, but because they don't want to. And here's the trap. They're masters at turning their recklessness into a story you feel compelled to fix. They'll paint themselves as misunderstood, unlucky, or cursed, pulling you into the role of savior. Every fresh disaster becomes a shared mission. If you really care about me, you'll help me through this one last time. But there's never a last time. The moment one fire is put out, another is already burning. They thrive in instability because chaos distracts from accountability. And as long as someone else is cleaning up the mess, there's no incentive to stop making it. Over time, their storms become your weather. You find yourself anxious, exhausted, and living in a state of constant alert, waiting for the next phone call, the next crisis, the next emergency that swallows your plans whole. The Stoics would remind you, you become what you tolerate. If you accept chaos as normal, it will consume not just your peace, but your identity. Your responsibility is to guard your own life from becoming collateral damage in someone else's endless disaster reel. Because the truth is, rescuing them isn't saving them, it's sinking with them. If you recognized yourself in these patterns, know this: you are not weak. You are not broken, and you are not alone. You've simply seen the mask slip, and now you have the clarity to act. Reclaim your boundaries, your peace, your reality, and never again let anyone make you doubt it. You deserve peace, and you will have it. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the Eternal Wisdom and follow us on Telegram. Thank you for watching.